Yes. How are we doing, guys? Hope you're really good. So, as always, just let me know if you are watching live or you are watching back. All right, guys. So, I'm just going to do my usual sketch of letting everybody know that we're live. Okay, let's have a look here. So I think my internet is a little slow tonight. So if it cuts out, I do apologise. It's good that people are rocking up. But Everybody good? Everybody good? Just going to have to give me a minute, guys, just because my internet's seems to be a little bit slow today. And I'm just having to let... just wondering what's going on with it. Move to mobile data. Cool. I'm just going to move this to mobile data as well. Cool. Okay. While we're waiting, let me know what you think of the week, how the week's gone for you. Cool. Good to see you all here. I unfortunately don't seem to be able to get on anything at the minute. It seems to have all gone completely and utterly Pete Tong. So apologies for this, guys. I will be with you. But while we're waiting, you can give me a little bit of feedback on how you felt the week has gone for you. Okay, so whilst I'm doing this, you can do that for me. That would be great. Okay. That's there. Right, I think we're having some joy now. Some good feedback coming through. Okay, internet was restored. Good stuff. Let's hopefully we can find the link. Sorry, guys, I really hate it when there's stuff outside of my control that makes the flow of everything poor. Right. So, also, who has registered with us for the Remember the Mission 90? Who is still thinking about it? Okay, we're nearly there. Okay. Mike's in. Right, I think we're having some joy now. Some good feedback. Right. Right, I think we're having some joy now. Cool. All right, guys. So massive apologies about all of that. That was a pretty fucking ball ache. Okay, cool. So we've got Gareth, we've got Mark, we've got Simon, we've got James, Jason, Willow, Scott, Stu, we've got Paul, we've got Scott, Simon, James, we've got people talking about good self-reflection, good conversation about it today. It seems to have sparked something, which is really good. I know that a couple of people have said their wives had already noticed a difference in people as well, which is really good. Tough confrontation, the man in the mirror. Yep, always. We've got Mike who signed up. We've got Willow that signed up. David, Michael's coming back in. Cool. All right. So let's get into this. So I'm just going to recap the week, guys, and then we're going to get into what the task is for tonight and kind of what we're focused on. It's pretty much what we've covered, really. So at the start of the week on Sunday, I feel like this has just absolutely flown by in terms of development. So Sunday, I said to you all, this was going to be an insight. So for me, this was always about bringing guys in to give them an insight. So it's to open up in terms of what is possible in their life. Okay. This is the first time we've ever run this particular 5-day challenge. So we've run 5-day challenges before, but we had completely different tasks last time. So this is the first time that we've ever done anything in terms of having the Google format, in terms of the success stories. And I think the flow of this week has been really beneficial for a lot of you in terms of understanding the longer term picture. So if we go to day one, we went straight in and started thinking about, actually, where can I be in 5 years? Where are we going to go with this? What do I need to do to make sure that I'm thinking about not waking up in 5 years and having not changed? Okay. Then we kind of looked at, so that was the lay of the land, that was the vision, that was the direction, that was all of the things that we could become romantic about in terms of moving to the future. Then we looked at what it took to get there. So we looked at an element of self-mastery. There is lots and lots of self-mastery to get through, but we just looked at an insight in terms of reflection and the importance of, resilience, and understanding how resilience played its part to help us achieve our mission, to stay consistent all the way through. Okay. Then we came back to reality and we looked at, okay, what can we achieve over 28 days in a 28-day mission? And how can that affect our lives? So we then actually start thinking, okay, what can I achieve over those 28 days? Okay. How do we put that together? How do we reverse engineer that so that we know what we need to achieve in the first week? Okay. Then we looked at the key principles. So the principles are the things that we look at that are going to help us sustain the mindset that we need to make the best decisions, to help us drive us forward, to help us achieve the things that we want to achieve in our life. Okay. And then this morning, or today, my thought process when constructing this and putting this blueprint together was that, okay, if you create a 7-day plan, that kind of gives you something to go away with next week. Okay. In terms of that plan, in terms of putting action together. We've spoken about the need for depth in terms of making sure that you build deep connections. Okay, so we be deep foundations to be able to build and thrive within our lives and all the things that we want to do. Okay, so the way that we did that, and I kind of accidentally touched on this on Wednesday. And I kind of went through, and I've left this format on Google, so you'll be able to go away and actually use the format that we put up for you. And I put the example up for you as well. And you can see that this is where the daily battles last, guys. Okay, this is where the daily battles last. So when we're playing on a day-to-day basis, this is when we reclaim a lot of our energy, a lot of our focus, where our time is going, where our energy is going. And when we fill this out, it gives us that certainty about knowing that we're going to achieve something, knowing that we're going to progress, knowing that you're in control, knowing that there is going to be progression. And all of those things are super important in terms of part of your development. Okay. Throughout the program, we introduced a process where you can continue this training. Okay. Where actually you can have education, you can have support, and you can have accountability with the Remember the Mission 90. So I think there are 2 places left, or one or 2 places left. Okay. And our offer stands until Sunday. And we talked about how that builds foundations for growth. Okay. Because obviously it's very difficult when you're doing this by yourself to sustain this type of development. And I kind of trying to make it clear to you guys that this week is very, very intensive. It's very exhausting mentally for you guys to have to take on so much information, and it can be overwhelming, but trying to process it and take some nuggets to implement into your life is key. I want to say congratulations if you are still here, which is a credit to you. And I said to you on the Sunday that by the time we get to Friday, there will only be about between 13 and 17 people here. And that works out right. So we have worked out today, having done the numbers, out of 286 official registrations, okay, only 23 people are still engaged in the process, okay? 23 people, which is incredible from a 280 odd number. And that is only 5 days. And the only thing that I asked from you guys from this week was time and energy to put into yourself. And I've spoken about this a lot. For those that don't decide to obviously continue with us, it's imperative for you to make sure that when you go into next week and when you go into the future, like when this scenario or this environment that we're in ends, it's something, the real life is suddenly going to hit you. And then it's a case of, my God, how do I cope with all of that? Because the last thing that I want to have done is spend all this time and effort and energy getting you to a place where you can thrive, just to throw it all away when life hits you really hard next week, okay, or the week after, or when reality of normal life comes in, okay? So that's really important. Don't come this far just to get this far, okay? And that's really important. You're at a point in a crossroads, and I was chatting to one of the guys that signed up. He comes, I've come this far for me to then go back, okay, and let it all go and try to do it because I know I'm not going to do it by myself. Is just like, that's that opportunity. And that's where I'm only looking for those committed guys. I'm not looking for guys that like are arm in and out. I want guys that want to come in here and they want to tackle it and they want to take it on head first. That's the mentality that you have to change your life. Changing your life is mental. And I sit there, I was literally just sitting here before doing this live, and I was going, what is this all about? Why does any of this matter? Why should we invest in ourselves, whether it's financially or time or energy? What is the fucking point? Okay. And I think we have been given kind of this gift of like living. Okay. This is kind of like this, if you like, phenomenon that we're in. And we're like in this sins game of some sort. And we don't know when it's going to end. We don't know what we're going to go through. In theory, some of us could be here for another 40, 50, 60 years. Okay. Hello? Are you off? Yeah. Love you. Love you. See you later. Have a good day. Yeah. I love you. I'll come and see you before I go to Spain. Yeah. Bye, mate. Bye. And we kind of go through life, and I think to myself, if you're here for another 40 years, okay, and you are in a zone in your life, God, my boy smells the best with his aftershave, and you've got like another 30 years, right? And you live the next 5 years constantly kind of in pain and suffering. It's like, God, do I want to put up with that? Or do I want to enjoy this thing that is like, that we live through, that takes us on this life and actually maybe achieve some things? So is it worth the time? Is it worth the energy? Is it worth the finance and investment to live the next 20 years better, 20, 30 years better? And I was like, yeah, I guess it is, because there's all of these quotes, there's all of this self-help, there's all of these opportunities out there, and everyone's always talking about self-help and mental health and emotional health. And I sometimes think to myself, what's the fucking point in it all? Because we're going to die one day. But I always think it's about making this opportunity that we've got count, like on the next level, like when you really look at it quite deeply. And it's like, when you leave this planet, have you left the planet in a better place than when you came into it? And I often think that a lot of people around our age, one of the biggest factors that a lot of them have is that they don't look at their fathers as though they're a legacy. They don't look up to, like, a lot of dads never built self-worth into their kids. They never really loved their kids like they should do. Not like there is today, not like there is that awareness, right? I was unfortunate enough not to have a dad. My dad died when I was 6. So I never got that positive father inspiration. I had an emotional bully of a stepfather that just killed my self-worth and self-belief over 15 years. And through both of those examples of me losing my dad and me having to endure poor fatherhood from a stepfather, it makes me more driven to want to help men be better as a father, be better in life. So where the passion and the drive comes from, it comes from that you can do better. You can do better as a father. You can do better as a man. Because my dad never got that chance because he had a heart attack because he never took care of himself. And he left me behind. He didn't take care of himself. There's an element of, I remember when I was feeling quite angry when I was trying to deal with it all. I was like, why couldn't you just stop smoking? Why couldn't you not work yourself to the bone? Why couldn't you just spend more time with me in those early days that didn't put you in a position where you'd go on and have a heart attack? And of course, it might not have been any of that related, but I'm kind of going deep here a little bit, but it's important to understand that you don't know when that opportunity, you don't realize the opportunity that you have. And the more that you don't take care of yourself, the more likely that you could have a stroke or a heart attack, or you could drink yourself under the table, or you could miss that opportunity where you did not lead your kid so they don't respect you and they don't look up to you. And you've missed that opportunity to have a relationship with those kids. And that's how I look at it. So when I look at it from my side, when I look at that from my point of view, I'm very much like, I want to make sure that I fill my kids with self-belief. I want them to see that actually I do struggle. You know, my older two know exactly what I went through. They know that I nearly decided to end it. They know they were the reason that I didn't do it. My daughter has gone through 2-3 years of mental health struggles with delayed trauma from my first divorce. We've gone through counselling and we've worked her through it to the point where she now wants to be a counsellor for kids of her age and what she's going through. So almost the work that I'm doing is now leading into some form of legacy, right? And then my boy, I've got an incredible relationship with him, and he looks out to help his friends. He's doing good stuff. And I often see that, like us as role models, if we don't lead ourselves, if we keep making excuses, what we're doing is basically saying our kids are not strong enough reason to show up. It means that your kids could grow up one day, be an influencer, go on a podcast, and they could turn around and go, yeah, my father wasn't the greatest role model. My father wasn't around enough. My father was always drinking. My father never really communicated with his mum. And you've got to almost imagine it from that. And I do a lot of deep reflection, as you can think. And is it all worth it? What is the point of it? And I think it absolutely is for the bigger picture. Because if I can become a role model to my son, for example, or my daughters, my 3 daughters, and they then go on to have kids, and then they take some of the stuff that I learned, and all my videos are here in Legacy. There's over 1,500 podcasts at the minute, and I'm still alive. There's over 1,000 videos on my YouTubes, and then their kids could watch, and it all could stem from me starting that, or from you starting that. And they look at you and they go, man, that's what hard work looks like. Man, that's what love looks like. Man, that's what a relationship should look like. Man, that's how you should react. Man, it's okay to be open. That's why it's all worth it. That's why all of this stuff that I've taught you is absolutely worth it. It's worth the effort. Because actually, yes, is it worth the effort if we're all going to die? Absolutely, because it is a much bigger meaning. There's a much bigger picture to all of this. And I think that's essential in terms of your understanding about personal development, professional development, your attitude towards yourself, how you lead yourself. Does that make sense to everyone? And I literally just had that reflection as I was sitting here, just nice, calming, regulate myself, bring my nervous systems level down, because it was touch and go, because the wife's gone out. My little one's asleep. We were trying to get her to sleep, and I was thinking, God, it's lucky that we're in a place where, you know, you can be in control of that. And I think every single day, one of the things that we have to challenge ourselves is that, are we being enough for ourselves to be enough for the people that we love the most? Okay. And if the answer is no, then you need to do more. You need to do better, be better, because there is no excuse. Because I can promise you now, having 2 older kids, when they get to about 12, 13 and they want to be more with their friends, you have lost them. You will struggle to rebuild that relationship if you are putting work first. The way that I look at this is that I was at war for the first 3, 4, 5 years of my older kid's life. I was training for Afghanistan. I was doing my sniper courses. I was in Afghan. I was doing other stuff. And, that's why I left the military, because I didn't want to be away from the family. I had to make that decision. And then I come back and I failed them hugely. I massively failed them. I failed my wife. I failed my kids, and it created the man who I am today. I wouldn't change a thing, because I am who I am. I work tooth and nail to make sure that my relationship with every single one of my kids is the best it can be. But when I look at my business, I think to myself, there is a level of where I want my business to be, and I don't want it to go past that, because if I just turned around and said, right, we are going to go all in on this business, it means it takes me valuable time away from my 3 and 7-year-old that I want to build a relationship with. Whereas in 5-6 years, once we built all the foundations and they're old enough and they're with their mates, then we can go, let's get to work. But right now, my priority is time. And it's the freedom of time to be able to run a business, be able to mentor men at a limit with a capacity, which is why only 10 people are allowed on this course, and make sure that I do that job, but have a great life at the same time. And what people do is that they want the promotion and they want the extra money, and you go out and get the promotion and you get the extra money. But guess what? They also want your blood. So you're looking at an extra 10, 15, 20 hours a week that you're going to be away from the people that you love the most. So you have to really understand lifestyle design. Where there is one thing, there is always a sacrifice. Where you want another thing, there's always a sacrifice. And you have to be able to learn what the balance is for you. For me, in the early days in business, it was all about money, 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 chasing it. And I was just traumatized because I nearly lost my house when I first started my business. I had no money. I left my job, was almost pushed out of my job as a teacher. I came out, I had £650 a month coming in roughly for my side hustle, where I PT'd until I was fucking blue in the face, and I did circuit training, and I had to find 2.5 grand. And the first 12 months, I pretty much worked fucking 18 hours a day. 4 hours a day of that was studying on YouTube how to run a business. And I didn't stop. And I was almost traumatized because I felt like I needed to build security for my family. And that's why it wasn't money because I wanted nice cars. I was almost traumatized myself because I didn't have any money. So that's what my character, and I went through all of this burnout, chronic burnout. I nearly lost my wife. She was my girlfriend back then, and I had to make changes along the way. I had to make massive failures. And I think I'm kind of sharing this story with you because everything that I've taught you has come off the back of all of these stories, all of these failures, everything that has happened to me through my life. We've all got a story to tell. Now I can allow that story to affect me and I can feel sorry for myself. There have been times when I've been like, my God, how are we going to pay the mortgage in those early days? And it was the thief of happiness and the stress and burnout I was going through. And I was like, this is just incredibly difficult. And life is incredibly difficult, but it's how we get through those difficult times that creates the man, that creates the character. And it's going through all of that and then implementing systems to keep me on track. Things that I just thought of out of the blue. I just randomly thought of these 4 pillars that I wanted to base my life around that I've taught you. Very recently added the 5th, which was fun. So I based my life around health, personal development, relationships, business. Okay, so I made sure that I had balance between them. I understood my failures as a learning process. I learned to accept that actually not everybody's going to like what I do or what I say. And as you go through, you evolve. And then you learn when you don't evolve. And then you learn when you make bad decisions and your back's up against the wall. And it's just a big fucking journey that you're on right now. And everything that I've given you this week are ways to be able to manage that journey better. For those people that come to work with us, it will be able to help you so much in your journey to manage that journey better based on all the experience that I've had, all the experience other guys have had. But you must not let your story be the result of why you don't show up. Okay? Because everyone's got a story. You've all got a story. You're all going through something. But it is no excuse not to show up, boys, at all. It is the reason to show up. It's the absolutely reason to show up, is to change that story, change that narrative, be that man, be that role model, be that father, be that fucking husband where your wife looks at you and goes, man, this fucking guy is my husband. I'm so fucking proud of him. Why all the other wives are bitching about their husbands, never helping out around the house, being overweight, not really being sympathetic, being almost having to tread on eggshells around them, okay? Be the fucking guy in the playground that has his arm around his wife, that is paying attention to his wife, that is taking him out. Be the guy that does the school run. Be the guy that switches his phone off and doesn't have to be on TikTok. Be the guy that doesn't need porn. Okay, be the guy that doesn't need gambling. Okay, and suddenly you become that guy, and suddenly you live that abundance life where everything that you want kind of comes to fruition because you understand yourself so much better. Okay, and I think that's important to recognize. Okay. And I'm going to sort of wrap up there. I'm going to answer some questions. If there's any questions that we've got on here, but I've pretty much given you this week everything that I've got in terms of giving you a head start. Okay. In terms of knowing where to go here now. So in terms of where you go from here is your decision. Okay. So you can either, and I appreciate that not everyone can afford to stay with us. So if that's you, then it's your responsibility to show up and keep showing up and keep doing the work. Okay, and making sure that you do the best that you can possibly do. And it's also your responsibility, if you have signed up, that you show the fuck up and do the work. Okay, it's your responsibility on both sides. So I've got some questions, or there are some questions here. So let's answer them, shall we? You right, sweetheart? Did Mummy leave it in the lounge? No. Is the one in the lounge? Do you want to watch my phone right until I finished? Yeah? Sorry guys, I won't be a minute. Right, there you go. You take that and then I'm going to be up in about 15 minutes. Okay? Love you. All right, tell him. Yeah. Will you shut the door for me? Yeah. Thank you, my darling. Love you. Love you. Okay. So let's get these questions answered. Cool, guys, if you have questions now about anything to do with what we've covered this week, anything that you want to ask me in terms of my personal experience and anything, or dealing with other people, anything on the program, anything you're worried about asking, like, you know, I've had a conversation with 2 or 3 guys who didn't want to ask the questions on here about the course, and they got that clarity that they need. That's the wrong fucking post, James. Right. Ba-ba-bum. All right. All right, so we've got 5 questions that are here, and then I'll come on to the thing and get on. All right, so we've got Gareth. I want to start by thanking you for the experience this week. I've enjoyed putting myself first, and my wife has noticed a difference in my energy. I have shared different insights with her and some of the answers I've given to my challenge, which allowed me to discuss topics about our life, which is brilliant, which is exactly what we want, right? We want guys to get their wives involved in this. We want them to understand what's going on, okay? In terms of the challenges people have submitted, how have we compared as novices compared to other 5-day challenges? Can you share the ongoing subscription costs with us as I'm trying to work out the budget I would require? Yeah, so in terms of comparisons to other 5-day challenges, I couldn't give you that based on this challenge because this is the first time we've run it and asked these things. Previously, there hasn't been a Google sheet. I would just tell you exactly what I needed on a video, and I've described it on the whiteboard. But in terms of engagement, it's been about right. Okay, it's been about right. And it, you know, in terms of people dropping off, it's 10% of however many people sign up get to the very end. Okay. So I think in terms of, I couldn't answer that question if we do another 5-day challenge. It might be another 2 years before I decide to do another one. but it has been nice to do it and has been nice to see those answers. In terms of subscription costs, I should state here, guys, that you are not guaranteed a place to stay with us at the end of the 90 if you don't show up. But if you do show up and you do the work, you will be offered a place. So you would be looking at around anywhere between 199 and 400, depending on what, you know, the depth of training that you want to do. So if you want to work with me on a small group training, you're looking at around 400. If you're a business owner, then you might think about coming into our 1% club, which is a much more investment, but a lot more of it. And then our lowest membership, where there is like monumental value, 199 is a steal for like staying with us for the following 6 months to follow up the work that you've done, which would take you to 9 months. And by the time you get to then, you're going to almost be reaching that guy that we need to be. Okay. So that's not really a question, that's a statement. Thanks, JB. Great insight and enjoyed learning, talking to you this week. Great focus and end you around. Great stuff, Simon. I'll speak to you Sunday. A great week, great content, much appreciated. No worries. My question for you, out of all of the things that you've built into your life as part of your self-mastery journey, what are the top 1 to 2 things that have been game changers for you? So the first one would be the morning routine, without doubt. I would say that 99% of people that work with me in any capacity, the morning routine is the game changer. Okay, the game changer. It's just like life changing, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And the second one is to build your success from home, meaning everything starts from home. The success that you have with your wife and your children before work, the routines that you have at home before work. Okay, everything from there becomes that core hub, and then you grow out from there. Okay, and it naturally spills into the rest of your life. Okay, I hope that answers that question. Let me just see if there's any more here. Good. So glad, really great feedback. Thank you, obviously, for the feedback coming through. It's really great to see. What a great work. So it doesn't look like there's any more questions. Cool. All right. Doesn't look like there's any more questions there. So the ways that you can stay in touch, if you're not staying on with us, you can check out the Remember the Mission podcast. You can look for James Boorman on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. We're going to be doing a new free group soon in terms of offering just our own social media platform, if you like. That we should be good to go in probably 6 weeks. I think that's it. Who are my influencers? So this sounds really chat, but it's actually the guys that I work with. You know, I think that what I see from a lot of people, and I get to talk to a lot of people, the courage and conviction, what really draws me to people is the people's ability to put themselves on the line. That's what I really respect. I really respect people that step up and show up and do the work. And even if they're going through such, even if they're going through a really difficult period of time, they still find the ability to show up when their back's up against the wall. And to me, that's admirable. You know, it's incredible to watch how much people want it. It's incredible to get text messages when they say, I've got I've got my husband back. When I see messages from their wife saying, I'm so proud of you for everything that you've done.